I believe we are here. I know I'm a minute or two early, and it's my first time doing this. So, oh, let's see. Let's see how we are doing here. Um, okay, I think we are here. I think it's time. Blessings, everyone. I'm not sure how this is coming through just yet, so please, if you're here, give me a word in the live chat. This is my first time giving this a go. So I'm so grateful for your support and your love. And I welcome you. I welcome you this morning. My name is Tuesday May Thomas, and this is 4D Trinity coming to you live this morning. If you are here joining me, please do type something into the comment box so I know you're here, and I know we can get started. I pray that I am doing all of this technical stuff correctly. There's one viewer. I don't know if that means that it's me viewing this or not. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know that you are indeed here. I would be so very grateful. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Will. Good morning. Can you hear the audio okay? I just want to check with a few technical things before I fully get started here. So please do let me know that you can hear me. Otherwise, I will have to make some adjustments on this end. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am very nervous this morning. I haven't felt nervous in years, and it's just so exciting to me to be living the truth in my heart. And I welcome the truth in your heart this morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is 4D Trinity. The name of this broadcast was given to me just yesterday when I was sitting wondering, oh, it's a show. I need a name to call the show. And the divine came through and blessed with this name, and it feels right on. And I'll explain then what that actually means here shortly. But first, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude for being here right now. And join me, if you will, for a moment and just take a nice breath. And we'll call in our angels, our guides, all those divine light beings that serve to hold space for the highest love, for the highest light. We are so very grateful that you are here with us today and every day. I call in my animal totems, the whale, the record keeper, the crocodile, the gatekeeper of knowledge and wisdom, the hummingbird that sings of the joys and the sweetness of the nectar of the truth, that being love. I call in the raven, the sweet messenger, and the horse, that powerful and profound energy and essence of freedom. And all those loved ones that have passed from this life, for all of us that are here eternally holding space for us from the heavens and all those galactic beautiful realms. We thank you. I thank you. And I thank you, everyone here who was guided to be here. And if you're guided to watch this at any time, I pray that you receive what it is you have stopped by to receive, and that all the messages and the information serve you and your highest good in this day and in every day coming forth. I want to celebrate you. I celebrate myself. I celebrate all of our paths in the divine love and light. And I celebrate my book, The Reiki Apprentice. It is fully launched today, available right now in paperback and on Kindle at Amazon. And I have a story to tell you about it. So the book as it stands now looks like this. There we go. The Reiki Apprentice. And it is a big mamba jamba of a book, but it didn't start that way. It started as a release called Confessions of a Spiritual Apprentice. 4.5 years was the timeline that it took me to write that book, Confessions of a Spiritual Apprentice, which embodies much of my life's journey up until my early 30s, a very mystical, magical, spiritual journey, but also very worldly and third dimensional. It's a memoir, it's my autobiography, and it contains the story and the timeline of my spiritual apprenticeship through my life from the early beginnings, those tragedies and those hard things that happened to me in my early life that served to really scar me and mark me as I moved forward. I really don't know where to look. Am I looking here? Am I looking there? But I'm all eyes everywhere. But those things that really scarred me in my life and that served to be great pain and served to be the perceptual lenses through which I looked at life, through the way that I saw everything. And it was heavy. It was a heavy, heavy load of baggage to carry for my life. Years later in New York City, by synchronistic divine appointment, I met my Grand Reiki Master teacher, and I apprenticed with her for 3 holy years, and I documented everything. I'm one of those Carlos Castaneda kind of characters where I'm sitting there with the notebook, taking notes on everything that happened. And so that whole documented journey of everything that I learned about my own healing and how to lay those shadows down with Reiki and through the teachings my teacher shared, which I call applied metaphysics, have really and truly have brought me into the promised land of true sovereignty. And it wasn't easy facing my demons, facing my tar body, facing all those memories of people, places, and things that I felt had done me wrong. I lived as a victim for much of my life, really up until my early 40s. I'm 45 years old now. And I can say now that I am free. I am free to live now in the present moment. And I'm so grateful for all the teachings, the teachers, the students, the people, the places that helped to hold the light for me. And sometimes the dark for me, to find my way back to myself and back to a sense of unity, consciousness. That book took me 4.5 years to write. Blessings, blessings. You know, I have to wear glasses to read the comments, so I'm going to be flipping these little bad boys on and off. Hello. Thank you so much, everyone who's joining. I'm so very grateful. 4.5 years to write this book. Tears, a lot of wine, a lot of wine, and a lot of just pulling up those ancient memories, those ancient scars, because the issues and the karmic lessons that I had in this life, those being encapsulated in the first chapter or so of the book, were those that walked with me, as I said earlier. And no doubt those were on repeat from past lives. And so hence I had not completed with them. So I was still in the space of learning lessons, of learning how to overcome them. When I released the first version of that book, and it's still the same book, The Reiki Apprentice is the same book. It's kind of a rebranding, if you will, with a new cover and a new title. But after I wrote that book and I had such a great book launch, so many people showed up. Thank you so much, everyone who purchased that first version of the book, The Confessions of a Spiritual Apprentice. It was such a cool party we had. It was so cool. And I was great. I was riding high for the first 6 months after the release. And I was like, woo, I did it. I did it. I wrote the book. I released it. And it was so cool. And then about 6 months later, I totally crash landed and became extremely depressed. And I realized, because I tell all, and as I've said before, there are sacred memories that I hold to myself. So even though I really give you like 99.9% of my secrets in the book, there are still a few nuggets that I keep for myself. And I encourage you to learn how to do that with integrity for yourself, because those are your seeds of power. More on that at another time. But I came crash landing and I got severely depressed. And in my youth, I had dabbled with suicide. And I dabbled with ups and downs of not wanting to be here, of not feeling that I fit in, not feeling that I had any connection to this plane, to people, places, things, school, all of societal kind of aspects. And all that stuff came back, and I realized, oh my God, I had given away sort of so much in this book, in the Confessions of a Spiritual Apprentice, and I felt completely naked, vulnerable. There you go, world. Here's my story. And everyone I knew read it, and it was just like psychically, all my stuff was out there, and I could feel everyone able to portal in through my stories. And I wanted to kill myself. I couldn't recalibrate into being and feeling a sense of who I was anymore without with releasing all that stuff. Oh, Christine, is that you? Oh, hello, beautiful. Thank you, sister. I'm so grateful for everyone joining. But I became so terribly depressed after releasing that book, and it was like such a highlight of my life, because I had recognized before that I am an author, that I'm a writer. And then I released the book, and I got very depressed, and I was at the lowest of my low. And I was in a spiritual bookstore, and I remember buying some sage once and seeing this little book called The Magic Path of Intuition by Florence Scovel Shinn, and not buying it. And a couple weeks later, going back for I don't know what at that little shop, and seeing it on the display at the checkout, and I was just like, I need this. Something was calling me to get it, and I got it, and I gobbled it up. It's a short little book, and I read it, and I read it again, and I read it again, and it brought me to my knees. And I remember getting down on my knees and praying to God. And I'd never used the G word before. I wasn't brought up religious. My mother was a complete hippie, hence the name Tuesday. And I remember, like, I was at my wit's end. It was either, death was going to win or I was going to win. And I was going to continue living and being what exactly I didn't know, but I knew that love was the truth. And I got down on my knees and I prayed to God for the first time in my life. And I just said, oh my God, like, take everything away from me. All of this darkness, all of this sadness, all of this heaviness that is lurking with me now. Take it away. I give it to you. I don't need it. I don't want it. I want to be free of this. And I swear to you, within minutes, a lightness overcame me. And the next day, lighter still. The next day, lighter still. A week later, I started writing again. And I started writing an article called The Void. And it got published later. Oh no, it didn't get published. Here's the kicker. And it got refused. I had written several articles for the Sedona Journal of Emergence, a very popular New Agey journal. And I know more of you are joining. I just want to take a look. Oh, Mina, blessings, blessings. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. And I started writing this thing and I submitted it and they refused it. And I was like, what? What? It got refused. Every one of my articles had been published except this one. So it went on the shelf. And later, I have several links in the description box below. It has turned into a book called, a very mini book. It's free on Amazon and iBooks, called The Nowosphere. And what it was it was a coming back into me remembering my power, me remembering how to be a master of my time and space, me remembering the tools and the aspects of embodying self-mastery. So I bless Sedona Journal for refusing to publish that article, because now it has turned into a series of books, first beginning with the Nowosphere Book 1, Understanding Your Spiritual Sensitivity. And the tagline for that book is that it's for empaths, addicts, sensitives, and those on the path, the unnerving path of spiritual growth. You know, spiritual growth can be seen as something very flowery and lovely, and believe me, it can be, and it is. Yet the the dark journey of the soul, and perhaps several journeys that we get to take to get to that place of sovereignty, of truly embodying freedom, we can easily be met by those shadows, by those dark sides, by those limitations, and a level of separation consciousness that does not allow us to embody that freedom. So I'm very grateful. And then all these years go by, and so I'm getting to this point of how that book became what is now this book, The Reiki Apprentice. My beloved cat of 17 plus years, Be Loose. There's a dedication in the new version of this book, The Reiki Apprentice, to, it's dedicated to him. And if you dig what I'm saying, and of course, I'm sure you will to different levels if you're here, I felt such a communion and connection with that cat. I truly felt that he was my son. You know, he was my son from a past life, embodied now in a furry little creature that I got to spend my life with. I mean, he traveled with me from New York to LA, back and forth, back and forth. He lived in Belgium with me and in Spain. And he even has a Belgian passport, although he's passed away now. He's my angel in heaven. When he was passing away, he really, cats have like 9 lives, because he went through a series of deaths. There was literally a point where he died. And my partner at the time, I was sitting with him. He liked the bathroom, the cool tile floor, and I was sitting with him doing Reiki with him. And he had stopped breathing. And his body had even sort of gotten a little cold and rigor mortis-y kind of. And my partner had came home, and I was like, come in, I think it's time. And he put his hands, and we put our hands, and we were like, oh my God. And we even, like, I was like, this is it. And I started flooding tears. We had a whole altar set up to him out in the living room. We went out, we were drumming. My partner was playing the flute. I was chanting. We were sending him off to the divine light. We were out there for a half an hour chanting and singing and blessing him. And next thing we hear, meow. And I was like, are you freaking joking me? And I run into the bathroom, and the little kitty like lifts his head. And I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. So I laid my hands again, and he said, Mom, come with me. And I understood right away. I closed my eyes, laying hands on him, and he took me on a journey. This is the first time I'm telling this story. He took me on a journey, and we both became birds. And we both flew over these oceans. And then we went beyond that, and what I can only describe as the gates of heaven, if you will, to this beautiful holy land. And I saw all of these beloveds. For 15 years of my life, I served in, and I'm very honored to have spent time with a lot of elders in nursing homes, assisted living centers, hospice, all those kinds of realms, teaching chair yoga and facilitating Reiki and therapeutic touch with them. And I saw all these people, you know, they were elders, and a lot of them had passed on. And as we were approaching those pearly gates, if you will, there was a whole bunch of them hanging out there saying, come on, Be Loose, it's cool, we got you. They were there to help take care of him and show him the way. And Be Loose idled there for a moment, and he said, Mom, change the title of the book to The Reiki Apprentice. And I was like, what? Okay. And then he said, you have to put your hand with the Choku Rei symbol on the cover. You have to. And you have to call it The Reiki Apprentice. And then he went. And I put that in the back of my mind somewhere. And of course, the child, the cat, he came and left several times, and he was around for several days after that until his sweet release, and he passed in my arms. He took his last breath, and I bless him and I thank him. And so now there's the story. So now the book has me on the cover with the hand and the chokure and the new title. And I bless it. And I bless you. And I'm so grateful that you're here. And again, I thank you everyone for showing up and for purchasing the book. It's not just a book. It is a very powerful compendium of spiritual wisdom. My Reiki teacher in New York that I apprenticed with was also a trance channel healer. She would trance channel the entity of Rasputin from Siberia, and she would also channel an entity called the Scroll. And through those channelings, we met every week, and a small group of us in Brooklyn. And through those channelings, I'm sitting there writing everything down, were shared a number of very, very powerful metaphysical energy tools. And I'll tell you, I know a bunch of you have already read the book. There's so many tools that aren't even in this book that I will be sharing moving forward in my future books. But these were the ones that wanted to go in to this book now. And basically, I set it up, the divine set it up so that you journey with me through this story, that you come to terms with your painful experiences in your life and are able to, through the story and through the energy tools shared there, learn and gain some insight and just become aligned and attuned with a blueprint for healing using applied metaphysics. So metaphysics is the invisible realm. It's the realm where everything is happening when you think nothing is happening. And the teachings depicted in the book and through my teacher help us to understand how energy works in the universe, how we are all connected, and how we can become a master of our time and space by aligning with those teachings as they resonate. If they don't resonate, obviously, you'll find something that serves you along your path of healing. But as we learn to demonstrate and embody and really with sincerity and integrity use these teachings, well, I know for me, they have completely helped me heal my life in alignment with using Reiki, with becoming attuned and utilizing Reiki on myself, sharing Reiki healing with myself and learning how to share that with others has completely allowed me sovereignty, freedom from the past. And I will not, it's not a possibility anymore to create those same circumstances. I don't have to learn those lessons anymore, and neither do you. That's the good news. Neither do you. So, 4D Trinity. I am a heaven on earth ambassador, which means that I have seen the light. Woo! Can I get a hallelujah up in here? Okay, I have seen the light, my friends, and I know you have too. We've all had glimpses of it. And I am living the light. I am living in joy. I am living in a realm that is fourth dimensional consciousness, that is heaven on earth realization. And that happens when we have completely forgiven, made peace with, and released the past. The past doesn't exist. The past is a part of the grid, which we'll get into. It's the memory of who you were. But each moment is alive and new, and truly the now moment is all that exists. And a lot of it, I know for me and for most of us, that this getting into this realm has to do with forgiveness. Releasing and dropping judgment of ourselves. That's the biggest one, right? And that's what I really bless and I uphold Reiki for, is because the ability to learn how to love ourselves is really what Reiki is inviting us to do. And as we learn to love ourselves, we can easier love in general, be in the presence of love without shrieking, fearing, and resisting love. We learn how to be at one with love by laying hands on ourselves. And really that's the initial process. When I teach my students, yes, the attunements, absolutely, that's going to calibrate so much in you. But also your practice of laying hands on yourself is going to do more for you than any book you can read, than any amount of workshops you can go to, or even all your attunements. You can go to level 1. And if you're doing the work sincerely and laying hands on yourself, it's going to show you, Reiki will show you things that I could never tell you, things that books could never show you, because it is personalized to you. Marianne Williamson has a saying that we all have an individualized curriculum. And all of these ancient systems and modalities of healing, of enlightenment, of spiritual ascension, are connected to that oneness, to that one truth. Yet we, as the students, as the apprentice, I'm still an apprentice, even though I feel, you know, and I claim that I am self-mastery. I am that. I am. I'm no fool. I'm no fool. Oh, I got an amen from Christine. Right on, girl. Amen. But, you know, I recognize that there's still so much to learn. And so humility is always the name of the game. Okay. So laying hands on, if you're attuned with Reiki, that's going to do magical, mystical work within you that's going to show you things, again, that you would have never known otherwise. So where are we going now? 4D. Oh, yes, 4D. So fourth dimensional consciousness. This is heaven on earth consciousness. I like to think about the D's as we think about them, the dimensions related to consciousness, as related to the traditional 7 chakra system. As we master 3D, which is the world, right? Different from earth. Heaven on earth is not heaven on the world. Heaven on earth is a different dimension, is a different frequency from the world. The world is when you turn on your TV and you see what the TV shows you. The world is what you perceive through the dual lenses of these eyes and all of your senses. It is this plane of existence that we have been taught is all there is. And once we ascend, we tap into the larger stratosphere of the one, God, source, creator, great spirit, the all omniscient, Allah. There's so many different words for it. But once we begin to tap that and create those threads of connection with that consciousness and begin to embody that and really live that in our world, we realize there's more. There's more than just this world. There is so much more. There's an infinite, eternal peacefulness that exists. And I tell a story. I'm starting to record those videos trinary. So check them out if you haven't seen them, if this is of interest to you. Because I believe that we are moving into a realm of trinary. And trinary is what resides beyond the dual consciousness, the polarized consciousness that we see with our physical eyes in the world. Black and white, right and wrong, yes and no, on and off. Right? Two very limited realms. Trinary is when we get this third eye turned on and we begin to see beyond the plane that these two eyes, that this sensory field perceives. I believe, I know in the teachings that I am here to share that the third eye and the heart center are 2 in 1. As you turn on your heart and you open to love, greater love, unconditional love, the sweet nectar that is, that this turns on. I believe as you sit and you practice and you turn this on, that this turns on. They are 2 in 1. They mirror each other in the teachings that I share. And as we begin to turn on that third eye vision, we become calibrated with light sight. Light sight. We begin to see love and only love. When this third eye is turned on, we begin to see beyond the duality of the realms that the world proposes is all that exists, and we begin to see things through our light sight vision. And that's when the world changes and it becomes heaven on earth. There's a little message here. The third eye is being forced open in our current state of affairs around the world. Light sight. I love it, Christine. Right on. Okay. Thank you for that. So as we calibrate and we, and sometimes we don't want to see the light. It's because, again, as we turn on the heart and the third eye, it's turning love on. Turn it up to 11, baby. And so as that third eye and that heart become turned on, okay, I like, the word force, I probably wouldn't have used that, Christine, but it's like, it makes you see that the person that you have issues with is really not a body, is just a channel of love and light, is a child of God as well. It helps you see the person that did you wrong in your past as a child or as a youth or last week is an equal part of you, is a part of you, that you are one. And so what happens is you have to drop the shit. You have to drop the resistances to love. That's, you know what that is? That's God calling. It's time for the God phone. It's time for the God phone. Oh my goodness gracious. Hello? Oh, thank you. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Blessings. God's saying blessings, everyone. Blessings. I know I did. I cried a little, but I have the tissues here, so thanks. Oh, you do? Okay. I will. I'll do it right now. Okay. Namaste. Awesome. Okay. So God is saying, and what I want you to know, again, I never used the G word, like throwing it around, like I just never used it before, up until I started becoming a student of A Course in Miracles. So here's another book. Talk about a badass book that will change your life as you are guided to resonate with it. Marianne Williamson did not write it, but she is a spokesperson for it, and it contains powerful teachings. It is said to be Jesus Christ's channeled wisdom in this book. So if you're down with the Christ consciousness, then you will be down with A Course in Miracles. So God, on the God phone there, was asking me to read today's lesson. And, I'm not a teacher of A Course in Miracles, so I'm not going to try to act like I am. But what I do know is that this book fully resonates with me like the Mamba Jamba. April, sister! Mwah! I love you. I love you, girl. And it contains texts and it contains lessons. So one for every day of the year. And then in the back of the book, it's a manual for teachers. And everyone is a teacher of God. There's no, you don't have to get a Reiki attunement. You don't have to pay $1,000 to get a certificate. It's just as you're called, as you're chosen. Well, the book says all are chosen, but few take up the call. Don't quote me on that. But it's something like that. So first I'm going to read the introduction, and then the God phone, God, wants me to read today's, even just the title of today's lesson. Introduction. This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. And that's what I learned through these teachings. And that's why I'm saying the G word, God word. I'm not afraid to say it anymore, because it's, as my teacher, Constance, in our Course in Miracles groups, she says God doesn't have gender. It's not a him or a her, God is like beyond gender. God is just a word. Though Course in Miracles allows us to come into a comprehension that recognizes that that word God has no opposite. It is love and only love. And that is fierce. That is fierce when you can get down with that principle. This course can therefore be summed up this course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Nothing real can be threatened, and it speaks to that which is only love. That which is only love is real. And that cannot be threatened. The world would have us think that everything can be threatened, that we should be living in fear, but that keeps us in the 3D. And where we're going, 4D, and I'll get into Trinity here shortly, 4D. Nothing unreal exists. So all that is of fear, that is that dual lenses, the binary system of consciousness, is actually not real. Only love is real. Love, that which is love, and only love without an opposite. Dig it. I dig it. It has helped me tremendously. And actually, it was through my second year or so of learning these lessons and of doing these teachings that I went again through another very a hard time in my life, a very, very hard time in my life. And this book, you read the 365 lessons, and then when you're done with those, you start all over again. And like any good, beautiful book full of sacred texts and teachings, you get more out of those teachings every time you go back. And so it's very, very powerful in that way. So it's interesting, my apprentice, which I am so humbled, all of my students and my teachers, all of my students and those that have been guided to study with me, to learn with me while I learn with you too, are with such great integrity. And I honor you for that. I love you. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you. My apprentice sent me a little message this morning and said, break a leg. And it's so cool, just to have that support. And it's kind of like, go for it, kid. So, and then I had just read, right when I got his message, I had just read the lesson for today, lesson 292. A happy outcome to all things is sure. Okay, now I'm getting guided to read the lesson. God's promises make no exceptions. And God guarantees that only joy can be the final outcome found for everything. Hallelujah. Yet it is up to us when this is reached, how long we let an alien will appear to be opposing gods. And while we think this will is real, we will not find the end God has appointed as the outcome of all problems we perceive, all trials we see in every situation that we meet. Yet is the ending certain, for God's will is done in earth and heaven. We will seek and we will find according to God's will, which guarantees that our will is done. A happy outcome to all things is sure. Course in Miracles. Okay, my friends. Blessings. So, let's see. There's a little message here. Okay. I'm here, but only a chat. Right on, Will. Okay. So, Trinity. When this name came yesterday, and I thought 4D Trinity, this has a cool ring to it. Okay, but what does it mean? And as I sat with it, what I realized is that it so resonates with the teachings that I am looking forward to continuing to share with you. Because Trinity speaks to so many things, right? In Gospels, in sacred biblical texts, we can think about, right, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the Mother, the Child, the Holy Spirit, me, myself, and I. There's a Trinity. Spiritually speaking, we think of mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, emotions. Now, the teachings that I share contain the truth that I feel is a knowing that your spirit and your soul cannot be messed with. So we have books and videos on all this stuff about like, oh, I have a broken spirit, or my soul was damaged by whatever. No, honey. It's your perception of who you are as a physical being in this world that has the issues in the tissues that are requiring realization and healing, so that you can remember the blueprint of truth that is your perfection, that is your spirit cannot be messed with. Your soul cannot be messed with. But you get to own that as it resonates for you as truth. And it will set you free. It will set you free. And this book, there's a series of books called the Heaven on Earth series. And the Heaven on Earth series contain a series of teachings. And one of the books that I'm working on right now is called Quantum Tipping Point. And it speaks to this aspect of what the tools of Heaven on Earth are. Heaven on Earth, the basic levels of realization. The first one being relaxation. And when we embody that level of realization and of relaxation, and now I'm forgetting where I'm going with all this. Let me remember for one moment. Yes, mind, body, and emotions. When those aspects are aligned with spirit, with that blueprint of your truth, and your truth, right at the foundation of truth, is that love is the truth. And as a physical being in this incarnation on this planet now, we forget that. And we think that all sorts of other things are the truth. But if they don't help you to feel a sense of contentment, and if you can't relax and sleep at night, and the world is a very, very tough place to be, then you've forgotten that you are one with the mind of God. You've forgotten that you are actually an eternal, infinite being beyond time and space. And as you align the truth in your heart, and you decide it consciously, and you live it through every conscious word, action, thought, and deed, mind, body, and emotions, what happens is you begin to align the chakras. You begin to align your chemistry, your astral chemistry, into a way that aligns you with 4D reality, which is heaven on earth realization. So someone put a comment here. I'm just so interested. Oh, hey, that's you. Thank you. So, I was wondering, and I thought about, it crossed my mind to email you this morning, 7 at 78922. I actually thought about emailing you this morning to remind you to be here, but here you are, and you've been here from the beginning, so blessings, and thank you for that. And you're saying, break a leg, but don't break your neck. It's no fun, but I'm trying hard not to have my spirit broken with your help. Oh, blessings. Namaste. Blessings. So, 4D consciousness. If you watched my ayahuasca live ceremony, which was really kind of a trip in a way, because I really didn't know what was going to happen, but a lot of the teachings of the medicine messages coming through are just all about this, of just reminding us that love is our truth, and that when we can relax enough, and that's a teaching with the medicine too, is that where there's resistance to love, and really medicine of all spirit, where there's resistance to love, where there's a withholding of love, that's when we're stuck in the 3D and the duality realms that keep us bound here. But as we learn to forgive, and not just forgive, but to forgive, make peace, and forget, let that memory go, because that memory, you identifying as who you were, as who they were, as all the things that we put on that stuff and on those people, places, and things, those keep us bound in the third dimension. And as we can, and that's a part of the initiation to self-mastery, and your apprenticeship, my apprenticeship, is that continual, constant availability and conscious choice to go beyond to really make peace, to really choose peace on purpose. And that's what sets us free into a trinary realm. Trinary is where we see through that third eye. And we still see here, but this is turned on. This is turned on. Woo! We have a whole new capability of being in the world and not of it. You'll begin to experience things in very, very new and different ways that that will blow your mind, but in a good way, I promise, in a good way. So 4D Trinity, that's what's up with that. That's when mind, body, emotions are aligned with spirit, and we begin to access that fourth dimensional consciousness that is heaven on earth realization. You can be an ambassador, a heaven on earth ambassador. I am a heaven on earth ambassador. I am here to teach self-mastery. I have learned. I have gone through hell. I lived actually hell. I didn't think it was hell at the time, though. I just thought that was life. I just thought that's what life was. And it sucked. It was very, very difficult to be in the world until I remembered and I realized that I'm not of the world. And I learned how to navigate being in the world with not being of it. And so there's that teaching there. So 4D Trinity, I bless the divine angels, source, love, and light that blessed this show with that name. And I'm so very grateful for you being here. And I think Mina wrote a little message. How to gain control when hope leads to expectation. Well, let me tell you something, Mina. Hope is a word of binary thinking. So drop hope. Hope keeps us hoping. So drop hope and drop expectations. Those are very worldly. We're taught. You're not wrong for using those verbiages and for thinking in this way, because that's the way all the magazines and everything teaches us, our families, our cultures, our traditions. They're just passing on what they have learned. And that's what then we take with us. But where your freedom is in relinquishing expectations and dropping hope altogether. All there is the present moment. And as you and I and we learn how to embody a relaxed state, which is releasing expectation, releasing hope, pushing no will or want for anything to be different from what it is, that's when the veil moves and we begin to come back to heaven on earth realization and syncopation. And then when we can fully, you get knocked off and then you're like, but what if he doesn't call? Or what if they don't? What I applied for the job, and what if they don't? And then how am I going to pay my rent? And and all the world stuff brings you back into the binary system of like, it's going to happen, I'm not going to happen. It's going to happen, he's going to call, he's not going to call. I'm going to pay my rent, I'm going to be poor. I'm going to, whatever all the situations are. But that keeps us bound. And as long as we're bound to this world, trying to think that this world can help us and figure these things out, then sure, we can learn. Well, and actually that is a teaching, and I don't know how much we can get into today, but we will. We're going to go deep with this as we carry on. But there's a teaching where we learn how to master our time and space in the world, but ultimately it's to go beyond the world. And so what I would offer to you is learning how to use the language of light. Use your tongue. Use your thoughts in a new conscious way that allows everything to be perfect just as it is. And you can say that to yourself like a mantra. And what happens is that all the things that you're hoping for or having expectations for begin to dissolve and dismantle. And as you align with trust, I trust that the divine is working in my life. And then that's it. You drop it. You just give it to God, give it to source, give it to whatever name you call that white light, that eternal, that is the oneness that we are all a part of. That creates a passageway for that divinity to come in and meet you here in this world, in your body, on this plane, and move situations and start to shift things around for our highest good. And know this, that everything we do and we share in these spiritual realms and that I share is always for the highest good of all. We learn to relinquish forcing a will letting go of trying to make things happen. And there's another book that I'm writing. It's almost done, actually. I'm just waiting for the cue of when to start ramping it up and sharing it. But it's the debate. It proposes the debate of law of attraction versus law of vibration. And where we're going in 4D, Trinity, I'm gonna have to come up with some little musical thing for that or something, some little jingle. But where we're going with that is we're moving into, what does your heart say, Nina? What is the truth? When you sit and you meditate and you practice yoga and you get into your pranayama and you breathe and you sit and you relax, what does the truth say? And maybe it doesn't say anything, and so you just keep sitting, right? But when we start to create from here versus from what your mind thinks you need in order to be happy, that's when the world changes. And Chris just wrote something. Let's see. Oh, thank you so much for being here, sister. I am so very grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know, this is the first time I've done this live thing, but I believe that once we're done here, and I think it's time, we have 10 more minutes or so. And once this is done, this should go up on my YouTube. So if you missed anything, you want to come back, it should just be a recording there for you to view. So we have 10 minutes left. Any questions? I know there's so much that I want to cover. Please buy my book, The Reiki Apprentice. The link is down below. If you want to check out the Nowosphere, it's down below. If you have iBooks, there's actually beautiful art in the iBooks version that couldn't go up in the Kindle version because they just do text. So if you have iBooks, they're both free either way, downloadable for free. It's a mini book. And the next one in the series is, what's it called? Oh my God. Metaphysical Energy Tools for Self-Mastery. That's going to be the next one that I'm working on, and it's going to be up before Christmas. It should be up way before Christmas. And that one, it'll be a short fee because it's still a mini book, but it's bigger than the mini book of Nowosphere Book 1. So Book 2 will be here shortly. And if you have not subscribed to my website, go there. Website link down in the description box. It's my name, TuesdayMayThomas.com. You'll get a free copy of my book, another mini book called The Higher Self, Blueprint of Mastery, which will help you understand this alignment of you as a body, as a person, aligning with your higher self, and how to connect with that and understand what that even means. And you'll be on my mailing list, so you'll get a newsletter every month and little updates about stuff I'm doing and things I'm offering. So do you have questions? Okay, I think there's a question. Just started reading the Nowosphere. Okay, how's it going for you? How's it going for you? And if there's any other questions, we have, you know, I was told by the divine that these shows are going to be about an hour long, so we have a little bit left. If you have questions or comments, I welcome them. And again, I'm so very grateful that you're here. I'm going to be here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, if you miss it, come back. These should be recordings on my YouTube. Okay, and if no one's going to write anything, then I'll just keep chatting. Let's see. What should we talk about now? Fourth dimensional consciousness. Yes. So I believe that the subconscious is a huge part of our pathway to learning self-mastery. In the subconscious, oh, I see you wrote something. I'm going to read that here shortly. The subconscious, I believe, the recording of your truth, the truth in your heart, why you've decided to be born here on this earth plane this time around. There's a recording, there's a tape recording in your subconscious. But also, what's in the subconscious are all the teachings of the world that your family, your cultures, your traditions, all the fears, the dual thinking of the world is there. The subconscious is a tape recorder. So be mindful. If you sleep with the news on 24 hours every night, your subconscious is picking up all that feed. And then you're going to be in the world and wondering why, when you look at that person, you're like judging them or having fear of them, or you know, just all these weird things you'll start to realize as you start to be more mindful of the information you let in. If it resonates and it feels like truth, then it is. right? And then maybe a little later, you'll say, oh, I'm going to move to a different truth now. But learning how to discern what you let into your field is of great importance. Because ultimately, as we do the work and we begin to unravel those untruths, those things that aren't a part of who you are at your essence in this lifetime, well, that essence, that truth is right there. That power is right there. And your power lies in you honoring your truth. That's when the world begins to collapse. You collapse time and space as you've known them. And the world, again, 4D, begins to come into your vision, and you come into a place of knowing beyond perception. That's A Course in Miracles teaches perception is of the dual lenses. Now I'm putting that into my own words. Knowing is this. It's the love and only love. Beyond perception. Perception is of the dual lenses of these eyes that see in the world. Okay. I'm not sure if I fully finished my point there. Oh, so when we align with that truth, when we get quiet enough and we relax enough and we listen and we sit with what bubbles up as that truth, it can sometimes make you cry. It can sometimes, break down and dismantle those things that you thought you were. But that's a part of your initiation of self-mastery. That's a part of your apprenticeship, your spiritual apprenticeship in this world. If you're guided to ascend and to tap into heaven on earth consciousness, that's what you're going to go through, is all those barriers to love and only love. But as you begin to do that and you begin to hear and listen to that truth resonate, and you begin to consciously match your thoughts to it. No, that's an old belief. I'm going to see the positive there instead with this person, place, or thing, with this memory. I'm going to put love there. And when I think about it, I'm going to think about it in love. And when I feel like I need to speak about it, I'm going to raise the bar. I'm going to raise the vibration. And I'm not going to go low. I'm going to go high when I speak about it. And when you start to do that, the past begins to be relinquished and disappear. And that truth of you can begin to recalibrate through your DNA and activate who you really are, which is what you are, which is really just love. And then when you start to walk in love and you have that divine alignment going on, that's when the world changes and it becomes heaven on earth. Okay, just started reading the Nowosphere. Very interesting. Still trying to figure out why all this happened to me. Trying to see the positive, but it's not easy. My friend, this is your initiation. This is your initiation. We go through the dark night of the soul, or maybe several. I've been through several of them in my 45 years here. But that light is always at the end of the tunnel. It's actually not even at the end of the tunnel. It's right here. It's in you now. And what I'm going to invite you into, and yes, there's a period of like, why did this happen to me? What's the point? What are the lessons? What are the reasons? And absolutely, that's a part of our gestation and processing these heavy things that happen in our lifetime. But ultimately, what I teach, what I learned in my life, and that's all depicted in this book, is that the heavy, awful things that I felt that marked me and scarred me for life, when I ate them, chewed them, and digested them into my being, and I owned them, well, I turned my pain into power. So don't be afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid of the journey through the darkness, because you are love and you are light. And that is the truth. For some divine reason, this has happened to you. Things happen to us. Perhaps if you believe there are karmic agreements or lessons. And the physical body, when things happen in the physical body, it's a vehicle for us to transcend. The body, we are not bodies. So, but it carries us in this world, in the 3D. And as we learn to heal our bodies, we're placing love in the situation. And where we place love, there is more light. And so just as I shared with Mina earlier in that same tandem of like, yes, there's going to be dark nights where you're going to say, how did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? My God, you know, and maybe self-hate and self-doubt and just all that stuff is going to just rain all over you. Yet, when we stop asking why did this happen to me? And we start asking, how can I help myself? That's when things start to change. How can I love myself more right now, exactly the way I am? And it's really that simple. It's really that simple. I think we're good. It's 10:59. This is our final minute here. So again, please go to the description box, check out my books, sign up for my newsletter. I'll be here every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am so very grateful for your presence here with me this morning. It means so much to me. And what I want you to know in closing is to follow your dreams. Whether you're stuck in a hospital bed, you have a terminal diagnosis, you have no money, you have an addiction, whatever the issues are that you're dealing with, I want you to know that as you keep following your dream, as I have, that there is absolute sovereignty and freedom. And it's freedom from the chains that bind you. And it's all in our mind. Those chains are all in our mind. We get into the heart and your world will change. So keep following your love, your bliss, your glory. And I know it sounds so cliche, but honey, it's true. Thank you and namaste. So much love. So much love.